Have you ever wondered why some people work hard for decades yet never seem to get ahead financially? They earn more, they save a little more, they make fewer mistakes than they did in their 20s, and still, they remain stuck. What if the thing holding them back isn't laziness or bad luck or even a lack of money? What if it's something that feels completely safe? Something most people spend their entire lives chasing: comfort, because the same comfort that protects you from risk can quietly protect you from growth. And over time, without any dramatic mistakes, without any financial disaster, it can become an invisible trap. A trap that keeps you busy, keeps you occupied, keeps you feeling secure, while your financial future slowly stands still. The frightening part? Most people never realize they're inside this trap until years have already passed. So the question isn't whether comfort feels good. The real question is, what is your comfort costing you without you even noticing? Maybe this already feels familiar. You wake up, you go to work, you handle your responsibilities, you pay the bills. And from the outside, everything seems fine. In fact, compared to where you were years ago, you're probably doing better. You earn more than you used to, you know more than you did before. You make fewer reckless decisions. Yet sometimes, there's a quiet feeling you can't completely ignore. A feeling that despite all the effort, you should be further ahead by now. Not richer overnight, not living in luxury, just further ahead. And that's what makes this trap so dangerous, because it doesn't feel like failure. It feels like normal life. The routines feel reasonable. The choices feel responsible. The compromises feel necessary. Until one day you realize years have gone by, and the life you've been carefully maintaining has quietly become the reason you're standing still. If you've ever looked at your finances, your career, or your future, and wondered why progress feels slower than it should, then this video is for you. Because the comfort trap doesn't target irresponsible people. It targets responsible people, people who are doing everything they were told to do. And that's exactly why it's so hard to see. This idea isn't just a theory. It's connected to something some of the world's greatest thinkers spent decades trying to understand. Why do intelligent people repeatedly make decisions that work against their own long-term interests? The Nobel Prize-winning psychologist Daniel Kahneman spent much of his career studying exactly that question. His research revealed something surprising. Human beings are not naturally wired to maximize future rewards. We're wired to seek psychological comfort. We prefer what feels familiar, what feels safe, what avoids uncertainty, even when those choices quietly reduce our future opportunities. And that's where this becomes a financial issue. Because wealth is rarely built through dramatic moments. It's usually built through decisions that are uncomfortable in the short term, but rewarding in the long term. Investor Charlie Munger often warned that the biggest obstacles to success aren't outside us, they're inside our own minds. Our biases, our habits, our tendency to choose immediate comfort over long-term advantage. And that's why this conversation matters. Because the comfort trap isn't about spending too much money. It's not about being irresponsible. It's about something far more subtle. The invisible decisions we repeat year after year because they feel safe. Decisions that seem harmless in the moment, but when compounded over a decade or 2 decades, can completely change the direction of a financial life. So as we move forward, don't ask yourself whether you're making obvious mistakes. Ask yourself something much harder. Where in your life have you confused comfort with progress? But here's an even more uncomfortable question. What if the comfort trap isn't just affecting one area of your financial life? What if it's influencing decisions you don't even recognize as financial decisions? Because most people assume wealth is lost through bad investments, poor budgeting, or obvious mistakes. But what if the real cost comes from choices that feel perfectly reasonable? Choices you repeat every week, every month, every year, without ever questioning them. And if that's true, how many opportunities have already passed by unnoticed? How much potential growth has been exchanged for familiarity? And most importantly, what other hidden comfort habits are shaping your future? Because once you learn to recognize them, you'll start seeing them everywhere. The comfort trap of predictable income. Many people become financially stuck the moment their paycheck becomes their definition of security. Not because earning a salary is bad, but because predictability often creates complacency. Imagine two people in their 40s. Both earn the same income, have similar expenses, and consider themselves financially responsible. The first person spends years protecting what already exists. The second spends years building additional sources of value, learning new skills, building investments, creating optionality. 10 years later, their lives look completely different. The human brain loves certainty. Daniel Kahneman's work showed that people tend to overweight avoiding losses compared to pursuing gains. As a result, many people stop taking intelligent risks long before they stop needing growth. They protect stability, but accidentally sacrifice opportunity. Security is valuable, but when security becomes the only goal, growth quietly disappears. And this next comfort trap may be even more dangerous because it disguises itself as responsibility, the comfort trap of endless preparation. Some people spend years preparing for opportunities they never actually pursue. They read the books, watch the videos, study investing, study business, study wealth creation, and then they wait for a better time, more confidence, more certainty, more proof. Years pass, the preparation continues. The action never arrives. This feels productive. That's what makes it dangerous, because learning creates the emotional sensation of progress. But knowledge alone rarely changes financial outcomes. At some point, growth requires exposure to uncertainty. Charlie Munger often emphasized that wisdom is useless if it never influences behavior. Preparation matters, but preparation without action becomes a sophisticated form of procrastination. And the next trap is even harder to recognize, because society constantly rewards it, the comfort trap of lifestyle inflation. One of the fastest ways to stay financially stuck is to increase your lifestyle every time your income increases. Not because enjoying success is wrong, but because many people unknowingly spend every raise they earn. Imagine someone who receives a promotion. At first, they feel proud. Their hard work is finally paying off. A few months later, they move into a larger home, upgrade their car, increase their subscriptions, spend a little more on everything. None of these decisions seem unreasonable. In fact, each one feels deserved. But after several years, something strange happens. Their income is significantly higher, yet their financial freedom barely changed. This is one of the most common financial illusions. People assume a higher income automatically creates wealth. But wealth is not what you earn, it's what remains available for your future. The comfort trap appears when every improvement in income is immediately converted into a higher standard of living. Because once comfort becomes normal, it quickly becomes a necessity. And necessities are much harder to reduce than desires. Over time, your lifestyle expands to absorb nearly everything you produce. The goal isn't to avoid enjoying success. The goal is to prevent success from becoming a more expensive cage. Because the most dangerous comforts are often the ones you've earned, and that leads directly to another trap. One that feels so normal, most people never question it: the comfort trap of familiar routines. What helped you succeed 10 years ago may be the very thing limiting your growth today. Think about someone who has followed the same routine for years. They wake up at the same time, drive the same roads, talk to the same people, consume the same information, and approach problems with the same assumptions. Nothing feels wrong. Life feels stable, predictable, manageable. But year after year, their results remain largely unchanged. The brain is designed to conserve energy. And familiar routines require very little effort. That's why they feel comfortable. But growth usually begins where familiarity ends. Charlie Munger frequently spoke about the importance of continuously updating your mental models. Because the world changes, markets change, technology changes, opportunities change. And if your thinking doesn't evolve with them, your results eventually stop evolving too. The danger isn't that routines are bad. The danger is assuming that yesterday's routine automatically deserves a place in tomorrow's life. Consistency creates stability, but blind consistency can quietly create stagnation. Sometimes the greatest risk isn't changing too much. It's changing too little, and the next comfort trap is even more subtle. Because it often feels like wisdom, when it's actually fear wearing a smarter disguise. Principle number 5. The comfort trap of avoiding calculated risks. Many people believe they're protecting their future, when they're actually protecting themselves from discomfort. Imagine two investors. Neither is reckless. Neither is chasing shortcuts, neither is gambling. The first understands that uncertainty is part of growth. The second spends years waiting for certainty. A perfect opportunity, a perfect economy, a perfect moment. But certainty never arrives, because life doesn't work that way. 10 years later, the difference isn't intelligence. It's exposure. One participated, the other observed. This is where many people misunderstand risk. They assume risk means the possibility of losing. But there's another form of risk that's rarely discussed. The risk of never participating, the risk of standing still while the world moves forward. Nassim Taleb has often argued that many important gains in life come from exposure to positive uncertainty. Opportunities, relationships, investments, ideas, none arrive with guarantees. And that's exactly why most people miss them. Because comfort convinces us that avoiding mistakes is the goal, when in reality, avoiding all mistakes often means avoiding growth itself. The safest path isn't always the safest outcome. Sometimes the greatest danger is spending years trying to eliminate every risk and accidentally eliminating every opportunity. But there's an even more powerful comfort trap. One that doesn't come from fear of failure, it comes from the desire to belong. Principle number 6, the comfort trap of social validation. Many financial decisions are not made to improve our future. They're made to improve how we appear in the present. Think about how often people compare themselves to others. A colleague buys a luxury vehicle, a neighbor renovates their house. A friend posts another vacation online. Suddenly, what felt sufficient yesterday feels inadequate today. Not because anything actually changed, but because comparison changed the frame. And once that happens, people begin spending money to solve emotional discomfort. Humans are social creatures. We naturally look to others for signals about success. The problem is that visible lifestyles are easy to see. Financial reality is not. You can see someone's car. You cannot see their debt. You can see someone's house. You cannot see their stress. You can see someone's consumption. You cannot see their balance sheet. Charlie Munger often observed that envy is one of the most destructive human tendencies. Not because it makes people unhappy, but because it encourages irrational decisions. Decisions designed to impress others rather than strengthen one's own position. The moment you start measuring your progress against other people's appearances, you lose sight of your own destination. Real wealth is often quiet. Real confidence rarely needs an audience. And the people who achieve lasting financial freedom usually stop asking, "What will people think?" and start asking, "What will this decision mean 10 years from now?" Now here's the uncomfortable part. Even if you've avoided every trap we've discussed so far, there is one final comfort trap. This one eventually catches almost everyone. And unlike the others, this one cannot be recovered once it's gone. The comfort trap of thinking you still have plenty of time. The most expensive financial mistake is often not a bad decision. It's a delayed decision. Imagine two people. Both understand the importance of investing. Both know they should prepare for the future. The difference is simple. One begins today. The other plans to begin later. Later becomes next year. Next year becomes a better time. A better time becomes someday. And someday has a strange habit of never arriving. Years pass, then decades. And what once looked like a minor delay becomes an enormous gap. Not because of intelligence, not because of talent, but because time quietly did what time always does. It compounded. Most people understand the power of compound growth. What they often underestimate is the cost of compound delay. Every postponed investment, every postponed opportunity carries a hidden price. And unlike money, time cannot be replenished. Nassim Taleb once observed that many of life's biggest consequences emerge slowly and become obvious only in retrospect. That's exactly how this trap works. Nobody notices it at first. Because the cost of waiting is invisible today. You only see it years later when the opportunities you postponed can no longer be recovered. For younger people, time often feels abundant. For those in midlife, something changes. You begin to realize that the future is no longer an abstract concept. It is arriving, day by day, decision by decision. And that realization can be uncomfortable because it forces a difficult question. How many important things have you been postponing under the assumption that there would always be more time? The comfort trap survives on a simple promise. Not now. Not now becomes next month. Next month becomes next year. And before long, a significant portion of life has passed. The truth is that financial freedom is rarely built in a single moment. It is built through timely decisions made before certainty arrives. Before motivation appears, before conditions become perfect. Because perfect conditions are often just another form of comfort. And comfort, when left unchallenged for too long, has a way of quietly stealing the future. And perhaps this is the deepest realization of all. The comfort trap was never really about money. Money is simply where the consequences become visible. The real trap is much deeper. It's the human tendency to trade long-term possibility for short-term emotional relief. Think about that for a moment. Every comfort trap we've discussed shares the same hidden pattern. Not now, maybe later, when things feel safer. When conditions improve, when uncertainty disappears. But life doesn't reward us for waiting until uncertainty is gone, because uncertainty is never gone. And while we're waiting for clarity, time keeps moving. Opportunities keep moving. The future keeps moving. That's why the comfort trap is so powerful. It doesn't destroy your future in a dramatic way. It asks for tiny sacrifices. Tiny delays, tiny compromises, tiny acts of avoidance. And because each one feels insignificant, we rarely notice the cumulative effect. Until one day, we look back and realize we weren't protecting our future. We were protecting our comfort. The uncomfortable truth is this: most people don't fail because they make catastrophic decisions. They fail because they spend years avoiding uncomfortable ones. And the people who eventually build wealth, build freedom, build meaningful lives, are not necessarily smarter than everyone else. They simply learn something most people never do. Growth and comfort rarely live in the same place. The moment you understand that, you stop asking how to make life permanently comfortable and start asking a far more powerful question. Which discomfort today is most likely to improve my future? Because that question changes everything. And once you begin seeing life through that lens, the comfort trap loses its power. Perhaps the ultimate irony of life is that the things we seek for protection can sometimes become the very things that keep us confined. Comfort is not the enemy. Every human being needs it. Every human being searches for it. The problem begins when comfort quietly becomes the highest priority. Because the moments that shape our lives most profoundly rarely begin with comfort. They begin with uncertainty, with change, with a difficult decision, with a step into the unknown. And when we look back on our lives, we rarely regret the moments that demanded courage. We regret the opportunities we convinced ourselves could wait, the conversations postponed, the risks avoided, the dreams delayed, the future repeatedly traded for another day of familiarity. Because time has a strange way of revealing what truly mattered. Not what felt safest, not what felt easiest, but what moved us forward. And maybe that's the lesson hidden beneath every comfort trap. Your future is shaped less by the decisions you make when you feel ready, and more by the decisions you make before readiness arrives. So as this video comes to an end, don't ask whether comfort exists in your life. It exists in every life. Ask yourself something deeper. What possibility, what growth, what future version of yourself might be waiting on the other side of the discomfort you've been avoiding? Because that answer may be worth far more than money. If this video gave you something to think about, don't let it become another insight that's forgotten tomorrow. Take a moment to reflect on it. And if you enjoy exploring the hidden psychological patterns behind wealth, decision-making, and human behavior, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the Wealth Compass, because every week we uncover the invisible forces that shape financial outcomes long before they appear in a bank account. If comfort can quietly shape your financial future, there's an even deeper force shaping your decisions every single day. And most people never notice it, because behind every habit, every goal, every fear, and every financial decision, there is a story. A story about who you believe you are. It feels natural, it feels permanent, it feels like you. And that's exactly why so few people ever question it. What if the greatest limitation in your life isn't a lack of money, or opportunity, or knowledge, but an identity you've carried for years. Next chapter: the identity you never questioned, because sometimes the most powerful prison is the one that feels like who you are. Wait, before you go, think about this. What if the most expensive decision of your life isn't something you've done? What if it's something you've been postponing? And what if, right now, comfort is asking you to wait one more time?